What's up, cleaners? We're here with the first official patch notes for Back4Blood. Alright, so a lot of stuff in this video, a lot of new notes, a lot of new patches. So you can see the first thing that they have is all cleaners are available to use immediately. That means that you do not need to unlock any of the cleaners. You just start the game with them, which is pretty dope. Next, completing any campaign chapter now unlocks all previous chapters. So you don't have to start from the beginning. If you complete any of the later chapters, you'll unlock all the previous ones. So if you join with a friend or anything like that. Alright, next, in-game voice chat can now be disabled in the audio options. Pretty standard there. The next one is added mute icon to the heads up display for players with voice chat off or who have been muted. So you're going to be able to see like who's muted and whose voice is going on, who's talking. That's going to be kind of helpful. Next, first time user experience now sends players directly to Fort Hope. So that's just for new players. Next, additional post round statistics added for Swarm PvP. That's going to be cool to see. So that means at the end of the round, if you stick around, you'll be able to see some extra stats. The next one is they added a mute all button to scoreboard in Swarm PvP. So if you got some annoying teammates, you don't want to hear them anymore, you could just mute everyone. After that, you got the first aid cabinets now show a preview of how much health they heal. That's pretty awesome because before you didn't really know. You just kind of had to do the math yourself. Next, players now recover health while inside Fort Hope. This change does not affect players in the shooting range. So just like in the starting screen or in the loadout, when you're in the shooting range and you lose your health, you go back to Fort Hope, you'll start regaining health. Alright, after that they added the all message command, allowing players to send message to the global chat channel, which I mean, I feel like people have already been doing, but maybe that just means to every single person logged on, which seems like a lot, so I don't think that'll be the case. But alright, following that we have general. Weapons no longer revert to their default loadout when continuing a run in training, previously named solo campaign. So that means it's gonna keep track of your loadouts instead of just keep sending you back to the default loadout, which is pretty annoying. Alright, next, the bots now know how to use defibrillators more effectively. That's gonna be awesome, especially if you're getting downed a lot and you have a lot of levers on your team. The next one is improved character behavior when dropping and picking up items in certain locations. So that's going to be helpful too for the new campaign modes. After that, flashbang now affects common ridden that are climbing on hit. So that means they're not going to get impervious when they're climbing. Alright, ogres are no longer outlined for Carly after burrowing underground. Pretty specific. Next, chapter specific upgrades. Blue Dog Hollow, bad seeds. Destroying the nest in nightmare difficulty now spawns an endless horde. Watch out for that. The next one is on the Armory, the handyman. Bob's arm now appears in the scanning animation while the player has auto-selected new weapons on. After that, you have Dr. Rogers' neighborhood. Gather research. Objective adjusted to account for solo players. Alright, so after that we're going to have the card updates, which is what lots of people want to see. So negative ammo capacity cards, or negative ammo capacity effects from cards now apply instantly after the card is drawn. Following that, we have batter up. The melee damage is adjusted to 40% from 50%, so that's about a 20% nerf right there. Brazen stamina efficiency adjusted to 20% from 30%. That's a 33% nerf right there. Breakout decreased use time to 3 seconds from 4 seconds, so that's a nice buff. Face Your Fears adjusted to 2 temporary health from 3. So they're really looking like they're targeting the melee builds over here in the start. After that, you have Fresh Bandage. So now it instantly applies its trauma heal effect when spawning into the safe room it is selected in, which is pretty nice. Following that, you have Ignore the Pain. It now restores health instead of providing temporary health, so they full on changed this to regular health. Following that, you have Inspiring Sacrifice. The heals is decreased to 20% or to 20 over 15 seconds from 25 over 20. So a little bit of a nerf, but the health comes quicker. It's usually not too big a deal because lots of people run this card, so you have multiple stacks. Following that, we have Mean Drunk. The melee damage is adjusted to 60% from 75%. Pretty big nerf there. After that, you have Meth Head. Stamina efficiency adjusted to 30% from 40. That's a pretty big nerf as well. Following that, you got Money Grubbers. Now grants 3 copper per stack from 5 and a max bonus of 75. So fat nerf there to the copper. After that, we got Spiky Bits. Melee damage adjusted to 20% from 25. Not too bad. And then True Grit got buffed. The heals increased to 10 from 8, which is solid. Helps for those tall boys a lot. Following that, we have the balance updates. So quick player input movements are now smoother, which is nice. Rebalance supply point rewards for all campaign chapters and all difficulties. Pretty cool. Adjusted supply points earned for completing the speedrun objective, which is dope. Readjusted abomination health values on nightmare difficulty. I'm assuming that they gave them more health. So players who are grabbed by a crusher are now immune to friendly fire damage while grabbed, and for 1.5 seconds after being released, which is really awesome. Now you can't kill your own teammates when they're being crushed. Following that, you got remove pipe bombs from Mom and Carly bot loadouts. After that, we got the written updates. So the Breaker, they reduced the melee recovery time by 1.5 seconds. After that, they reduced the leap recovery time by 1 second. Reduced the leap cooldown from 3 to 5 seconds. Reduced the bonus damage for chest and leg weak spots to 500 from 1,000. So they pretty much half the damage right there. Reduce the taunt and horde summon animation times by half a second. Following that, they reduced the swarm cloud shrink time to 75 seconds from 90. After that, we got breaker leap speed reduced to 1500 from 2000. The breaker horde core reduced to 60 seconds from 120, so that's about half. And then we got breaker weak spots bonus damage from 1000 to 2000. So that's another 50% nerf. All right, they increased the ogre's health by 500. It's pretty nominal. After that, you have the chest weak spot damage reduced significantly by 75%. All right, Reekers are no longer slowed by bullets, their movement speed at least. Swarm PvP update. So here we have General. The Bruiser's Frenzy ability in Swarm PvP can now be cancelled by pressing the button to trigger it again. So PC, it's the default hotkey, mouse click right. PS4, PS5, R2, Xbox right trigger. So card updates, Adrenaline Fueled and Meth Head added to the card pool. So we saw Adrenaline Fueled and we have a video coming up about it, but we didn't see Meth Head. So I'm thinking that Meth Head is another melee card that you want for your melee decks in the story mode. So it seems like they got lots of melee deck buffs coming out, or they want to try to balance it more in that direction. So they decreased the breakout time from 3 seconds to 4, which is awesome. Take less damage. Face Your Fears, same one. Now grants 2 temporary health from 3. They nerfed it about a third. After that, Ignore the Pain increases melee damage against mutations. So that's pretty interesting because It said from these card updates you got True Grit, but that's not going to help you in melee or in Swarm. So we got more card updates in Story, and there's some of the same cards that are in Swarm, but they were not updated. So you gotta pay attention, because now the cards do different things, some of them in Story mode, than they do in Swarm. So pay attention to that. After that, you have general balance updates. The tuning adjustments have been made to make quick movements less abrupt to player acceleration and movement. Alright, the cleaners now receive a handicap bonus of 10% damage increase for each cleaner missing from the team in Swarm PvP. So this is awesome. It's going to help a lot with the lever problem. If your team is down 1 or 2, you're going to get 10%. And it says for each cleaner, so up to 30% if you're by yourself. Following that, cleaners get a default 25% increase to aim down sight speed and 25% increase to weapon swap speed in PvP. So this is awesome. So if you're already running attack decks with aim down sight and weapon swaps, now you're going to have even faster ones. Your aim down sight speed is going to give you more ability to pick up snipers and LMGs, and also weapon swap is going to help a lot for having 2 weapons and having your secondary refill. Alright, following that, you have the ridden adjustments. The Swarm starting radius is reduced to 30 meters from 45. So I'm assuming that they can spawn closer. Now, even though it seemed pretty close to begin with, this kind of seems like the comments, because I feel like you could already spawn closer than 30 meters with the special ridden. So after that, you got the Swarm transition is reduced from 90 seconds from 120. So the between game times is going to be quicker. You're not going to have as long of a time between rounds, which is essentially going to make the games, 3-round games, a minute and a half shorter. So that's cool to get more games in. So they increase the Crusher's health to 75 from 675. 25 health right there buff. The Hawker's health is nerfed to 80 from 90, which already seems like they didn't have enough health. But following that, you have the Harpoon ability cannot be cocked or fired while the character is in the air. After that, you have the projectile speed has been nerfed to 2000 from 2500. So that kind of is a bummer, but we'll see how that plays. Attack projectile miss cooldown from 4.5 seconds, or to 4.5 seconds from 3. So that's a fat nerf for the Hawker. So you're going to really have to make sure that you hit your shots, because you're not going to be able to have as many opportunities to fire now that you have 50% increase in your miss cooldown time. Alright, so Evolution 2 reduced 20% from 25%. So I'm guessing that is in a tree somewhere. It's not very specific, but I guess that's just like the utility. It's reducing it. Either way, it's a nerf. It's reducing whatever it is from 25% to 20%. So the Reeker is no longer slow by bullets, the same thing that you can see in story mode. The Tall Boy doesn't look like many nerfs here. Attack knockback increase, so you're going to be able to spread them out even further. Health decreased to 600 from 625, so it seems like that health that they gave to the Crusher has just been kind of sent back over to the Tall Boy. Anyway, overhead melee attack swing radius to 140 centimeters from 160 centimeters, so a slight nerf here. And then offense level 3 damage bonus reduced to 30% from 35%. So yeah, they did pretty much nerf the Tall Boy. These bottom 3 are all going to be nerfs, and they increased the knockback, which is probably what they needed to kind of balance it and see longer levels and lives from the cleaners. So the mutations. Infected wounds now reduce healing by 2% from 0.5%, which is awesome, because it didn't really seem like 0.5% per hit was going to be effective. I would always try to upgrade evolution or the commons before I went for this one, but now it seems like a lot more effective. Weapon updates. Secondary weapons. Secondary weapons no longer require a reload in the next safe room. So this is just story. Weapon swap animation now displays properly when equipping different secondary weapons. So for melee weapons, the bat movement speed increased to 410 from 400, so small buff there. Bats must do 50% more damage to stumble ridden. So that's unfortunate. You're going to have to hit them a half attack more. Axe movement speed increased to 395 from 380. Axe damage reduced to 70 from 85. So pretty sizable nerf to the damage for the axe. And the stumble damage scale reduced to half from 1. So that means that you're probably, actually this just means it's going to scale up less. So it's going to be less damage overall if the axe is your favorite weapon. Following that, you have the hatchet getting a nerf in damage, 40 from 50. And then the hatchet is going to also have its damage scale reduced to half from 1. So the DPS from the hatchet and the axe are both being nerfed right here. Machete movement increase. It seems like we got speed increases across the board except for the hatchet. So the controller updates. So option changes. Add a linear and exponential options to aim down snipe target snapping. Increase the granularity of turning dead zones for controllers from 10% increments to 1% increments. And revamped legacy controller preset to better match other co-op FPS titles. Pretty solid. Alright, so next we have they made improvements to the aim assist, which was pretty strong. It would honestly take you off of a target to shoot a barrel or something like that. So hopefully this kind of stuff is fixed now. Aim assist is now more stable when jumping and aiming from above. Pretty solid. PS5 reduced trigger resistance for melee weapons. And they also changed the burst fire weapon trigger effects to now properly match the rate of fire. So updates to accessibility. They added stamina breath to audio options. When toggled off, heavy breathing sound effects that play when your character runs out of stamina are muted. Alright, so all red text should now change colors properly when a new color is selected for red elements in the custom colorblind mode. Following that, gas cans can now change color when red elements are changed in the colorblind options. On Xbox, guts that birds eat are no longer marked green. Health bar and ammo indicator now change color when colorblind mode is set to Protanopia or custom. And UI updates, they rename solo campaign to training. And the quick developers note, we noticed players were interested in keeping a practice mode they could play around in prior to joining other campaign difficulties, so we've renamed this mode to make it more clear that this is a great way to join the fray without the pressure of playing with other players. In training, all cards are unlocked, so we encourage you to experiment with a variety of combinations in your deck. Alright. So training can't be started with multiple people in your Fort Hope instance, must be playing alone. Solo decks renamed to training decks. Start, continue, run, renamed to play, continue online. Added differentiation between cleaner and written input layouts in the gamepad, controls, and option menu. Next, they made improvements to navigation in personalization and accomplishments menus on gamepad. Following that, music no longer cuts off when a player navigates between tabs in the options menu. The Friends tab no longer redirects back to the first page when a friend connects to or disconnects from the game. Weapon previews in supply lines now rotate properly. Steam Big Picture virtual keyboard now opens when a user selects a text box. Fix an issue with the mouse click alignment being off and on in the options menu. Addressed performance issue related to having a large friends list, so only for those popular people. So bug fixes in campaign, cards, heavy hitter, effects now properly apply when killing Ridden with a melee attack. In general, they fix some issues related to special spawning, fix achievements and accomplishments not unlocking if you're dead at the end of the mission, fix friendly fire, removing Jim's passive ability, addressed an issue where all trauma damage was blocked as long as you had 1 temporary health, fix an issue that was causing the visibility of sleepers to display incorrectly with Carly's ability to sense nearby hazards and mutations, waiting for ability to respawn, message will no longer appear on UI when joining a match for the first time in spectator mode, fix an issue where the horde timer was not resetting after a team wipe, fixed an issue where the hag could become unresponsive if players kited her in her hunting phase without drawing aggro. They also fixed an issue where acid covered from wretch vomit and pus covered from any reek or death explosion were using the same icon. Rescue pods no longer disappear for players that reconnect to a game they had disconnected from. Objective counters now update properly for players on the vendor Xbox with the vendor box UI open. They fixed an issue where only 1 team upgrade would appear for purchase in the vendor after players had purchased all available loot upgrades to the highest tier. They fixed a player explosive dialogue playing when the player is damaged by the explosion in the game. They fixed an issue where the damage source was the player knocked prone or killed by the ogre stomp was shown in the kill feeds as unknown. They fixed an issue with weapons not displaying correctly in first person for all players that selected multiple characters before locking their choice in on the character select screen. Players can no longer see out of bounds when dying to fall damage or drowning in the water. Fix an issue where red kill hit markers were not displaying consistently in online games. Corrected bullet shells behavior when a player uses their aim down sights with a high zoom scope equipped. They corrected the ogre's tumor toss behavior towards players it can't reach. Cleaners can no longer be picked up from the ledge, hang from a player underneath them. Fixed an issue where the player card would not be active after a player late joined into a game and transitioned to the next campaign chapter. Fix for Windows 11, cutscene and loading screen related crash. Search and rescue, clean sweep. Fix an issue where breaker SFX continued to play after the breaker was killed. The Armory handyman. Bob's arm now appears in the scanning animation while the player has auto select new weapons on in the Armory. Remnants, a friend in need. Fix an issue that caused the second instance of the charred Ridden card to be dealt by the game director when opening the morgue. Remnants, making the grade. Fix an issue where the ogre stopped tracking the targeted player and became stuck while trying to despawn. Dr. Rogers' neighborhood, farther afield. Fix an issue where breaker did not spawn when its director card was played. Swarm PvP. All swarm spawn timers are now visible to teammates while in ghost mode in swarm PvP. Lever penalties no longer apply in private PvP matches. Addressed an issue where all trauma damage was blocked as long as you had 1 temporary health. Swarm PvP penalty message now displays correct penalty timer. Fix temporary health deteriorating while players are in the safe room. Fix UI messaging informing players that the game can be left without penalty in private Swarm PvP games. Private Swarm PvP games can be left without penalty at all times. Playable Stinger variants can no longer spawn in the world mid-leap in Swarm PvP. Player Stingers and their variants are now properly stunned by flashbangs while leaping in the PvP in Swarm PvP. Fix an issue in Swarm PvP where Ridden users could not spawn or could spawn closer than intended to cleaners at different height levels. Fix an issue where acid covered from wretch vomit and pus covered from any reek or death explosion were using the same icon. Fix player explosive dialogue playing when the player is damaged by the explosion in game. Fixed an issue where the camera would tilt for ridden players after loading into Plan B, trailer trashed in Swarm PvP. Fixed an issue where red kill hit markers were not displaying consistently in online games. Fixed an issue that caused bullet shells to collide with the player's gun when aiming down sights with a high zoom scope equipped. Fixed an issue with weapons not displaying correctly in the first person for players who selected multiple characters before locking in their choice on character select screen. Ridden players now hear retch ping dialogue from player cleaners in Swarm PvP. Player controlled stalkers no longer get released directly on top of cleaners that use breakout in Swarm PvP. Controller updates. Address an issue with aim assist forcing 100% aim magnetism, thank God. Address an issue that sometimes causes a player's field of vision to jitter when using aim down sights. Address an issue that aim assist to prioritize gas cans and propane tank over more hostile targets. Address an issue that caused players' camera to snap if they moved very slowly using a controller. Twitch extension, new features. Name a Ridden feature enables for broadcaster to have access to bits. Players can spend bits to have their name show up in the kill feed page on Twitch. Broadcasters can disable the feature or change the minimum bits required to use the feature from their extension configuration. Bits spent by viewers benefit the broadcaster. Viewers' names will show up in the kill feed when their special mutation is killed. Viewers who use bits to name a Ridden will be queued between levels and runs. Mutation upgrade levels are now displayed for broadcaster when on Ridden team in Swarm PvP. So they fixed localization of difficulty and map naming extension. Fixed up card display bugs on 2 cards that use keybinds as part of their text. Several issues where Fort Hope would not show waiting for game to start status. Windows Store builds now properly display the option to link extension to the game client, and they fix some display bugs for cards with a lot of accompanying text. Alright, that's all we got. Thanks for watching. It's a long video today. Hope you like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Good luck killing cleaners.